Well, good afternoon, everybody. Jay Stittleburg here, and just checking in to see how everybody's doing. I certainly hope this finds you well. And on this Palm Sunday, for my spiritual friends, I hope that you are not spiritually distancing yourself just because we're stuck at home and can't actively go to church and be with a congregation, that the Spirit is still there, and especially today, that begins Holy Week. And for my non-spiritual friends who don't practice religion, I hope you are not socially distancing yourselves, because again, we're all stuck at home and we cannot socially distance, nor for those of us that practice a religion spiritually distance ourselves. It's really important that we try to stay connected, even though we may not physically be connected. It's really important we do that, and I hope everybody is doing that, because we know that we're in a very difficult time, but we have to keep up the hope, and we have to keep up the vision of what we want our world to be when we do finally get over this. And we have to do that together. And together means it doesn't matter if you practice a religion or don't. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. What it really matters is that we work together to get through this and take care of each other. Because as I've said before, we know that in many circumstances like this, anxiety and depression do not go away, and it builds up inside of us. And when we don't have people around us that we normally do to try to get those feelings and express those feelings out, they can start to build up and grind and build up and grind. And we have to have a way to express those things and get them out so we can take a breath and move forward on a daily basis. Because again, I talk about anxiety and depression a lot, but it's not just anxiety and depression. You know, it may be somebody who's dealing with an addiction and they can't deal like they normally do with an addiction, whether that's going to NA or AA or one of those types of groups that help them through every day. So we have to keep them in mind. And so we have to keep our friends, family, and neighbors in our hearts and minds, and make sure that we're getting hold of them and making sure they're okay and talking to them and making sure they express themselves so that things don't fester and build up. I think it's really important, and I hope everybody is doing that. And I hope you're, reaching out to your family, friends, and neighbors, and I hope that if you are in some kind of distress, that you're reaching out to somebody else. And again, I'll put the numbers I know out there again, the National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255, or text TALK to 741-741, or just reach out to somebody that you trust, because believe me, it's important that we do that. And I can also tell you, I know that, again, through these rough times, a lot of us watch the news and we're looking at social media, and there's a lot of stuff that's out there and a lot of stuff that's not true. There's a lot of good information out there too, but it's sometimes hard to sift through those things. But we do know that this next week is probably going to be a pretty tough week for the country and as a whole, and the news may be difficult to watch. And so, all I want to say is sometimes you have to step back and take a break and be mindful of what you're reading, what you're sharing, and what you're doing. I think it's really important that we do that to try to, again, work together to get through this time in our lives. And in saying that, certainly with numbers going up, and it's just the facts, if you or somebody are impacted by somebody who has died because of COVID-19, then you certainly have my sincerest condolences, and I'm sorry that has happened to either you or a friend during these times, because I know it's difficult and there's a grieving process, and we all have to do that when it happens. I know for me, I just want to tell you this about it. For me, I lost my grandfather 10 years ago, and it was difficult. He was one of my heroes. He was my biggest advocate, and it was difficult for a long time, and that emptiness never goes away. He was taken much too early from pancreatic cancer. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that now, when I hear his name or think about him, it brings a smile to my face. And know that will happen to you too. It will, as hard as it may feel right now. So know that. and there's lots of people that know that and will help you with that. And for anyone who either has or knows somebody that has contracted COVID-19, I certainly wish you the speediest of recoveries, because we cannot forget in all of this that majority of people recover, and that's a good thing, and we have to keep that in mind. So we can't lose that focus that's there. We have to practice our social distancing, what I like to call physical distancing, because again, we don't want to disconnect socially, but we want to maintain that separation, and we want to, wash our hands and have good hygiene and be mindful of our surroundings and take care of each other. So again, I hope that this week will be good for you. Remember, we're all in this together, and reach out to your family, friends, and neighbors, and don't hesitate to do that. And let me hear some feedback. I hope I do. I like to do these videos, and I like to try to give people some positive information, but also some factual information, and make sure people know what's going on. And I want to reach out and just hope that, just hearing a voice, a friendly voice, can get you through day to day if that's the case. At any rate, I hope everybody has a good week. And as always, please take care of yourself and others.